Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Deus Ex Human Revolution. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you chose to join me today in Lowtown Hengsha. That's the one. I was trying to think of the name. And this is a big city. This is a pretty enormous city. Now, we started off over there. Actually, I'm not 100% sure where we started off, but we started off above, and I can find my way above using the map. Now, I was trying to use the, well, not the map, really, off camera, trying to, and also on camera, trying to make sure I, you know, learned this like the back of my hand, because I recall knowing where to go in this level, as opposed to, okay, we're going in the right direction here, as opposed, oh yeah, this is where we came from, of course, as opposed to the first area that I definitely don't remember exactly the map. This one is more traversable, even though it is bigger, and even though it's a little bit, Bell Tower is a thing written on the wall there. Even though it is also much more claustrophobic, this is more in line with what I feel Deus Ex looks like. Well, not when I feel what I feel it looks like, because I don't feel what it looks like. We can observe what Deus Ex looks like. I'm talking about the original one, but what I remember it as. This is where we started. And now that I look at the map, the reason why I came over here, it's plenty obvious that that we are supposed that we're never coming back up here. So, yeah, let's explore a little bit more up here. I read you already. The Bell Tower way, of course, Bell Tower. Yeah, we're getting tuned into that, and of course we could go into the Honghua Hotel. Pole Doll. October 7th and 8th. Well, it just so happens that today, as the time of recording, oh, it's October 9th. Dang it. We're not gonna see the pole doll. The pole doll. That is a thing. Okay, so this is not a dead... No, is this a dead end? Is this all considered all the same level? Because I wouldn't have guessed. We got a civilian over here, and we have stun gun darts. Which is great, because I don't think... Yeah, I don't have that many. How do you... holster it? Thank you very much. Excuse me? Hi. Working girls. We definitely weren't in here before. Wow, look at the sausages. They're still smoking. This is... It's a little bit... I mean... It's the kind of... Oh, another traveler. We did the right decision. It's the kind of the tale that is probably compromised by the fact that, you know, this is an Xbox 360 game, I think. No, it's already an Xbox One. No, this is for the Xbox 360 as well. So there are certain limitations that they just have to contend with. I think in games, in future similar games to Deus Ex, like for example, at the time of recording anyway, Cyberpunk 2077, this sort of stuff is never, like, you're never gonna find a just abandoned hot dog shop or whatever. I don't actually know the names of these things. Sausage shops, and that looks like some sort of bird, duck, or chicken. You're never gonna find it just abandoned, because they're just gonna have people in there, because, you know, you can't have, you have to save the memory for the working women, or sorry, they're all girls. I was gonna say working people. That one is not a working people. Her dress, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to imply that your dress is in any way slutty, and even if it was, it's totally fine for you to wear it, no problem. It is not. And by me saying that, I don't mean to imply, I wasn't implying that it is. This is to the Yozhao district, which is this area. So if we go down here, yeah. Investigate the penthouse apartment. But that's not an entrance. This is an entrance. Really? Okay, well, we're not going... Oh, no, but there's other things. Or, oh, yes. What the heck? Where am I? All of a sudden, I'm lost. Let's see what we have over here. No code found? Oh, it's good to be back to hacking. Let's see. So, what do we want? We want potentially that soften. We want both sides, so it's... Yeah, we're gonna start off with the soften. Yeah, we're gonna see what happens there. Immediately off to a bad start. The start usually is immediate, so I'm not even sure why I phrased it like that. Immediate off to a bad start, that's like, duh. Oh no, we didn't want both sides.
Access granted.
Either side would be okay. We did get a stop worm, so that's good. We have access to A163 with a tranquilizer rifle, which is great. I'm not going to sell mine, so I'm never going to be able to sell this one because you can't carry... No, can you carry more than one weapon? I don't think you can. Well, we got the experience. And that's what's important. At the end of the day, that's all you really have in it.
Welcome to Hengsha, best city in the world. You have nothing like this in America, do you?
I wouldn't know. Honestly, so far it looks very much like Detroit. And also, a lot of people just speak English as well, and so, you know, it is. I'm not sure why it is like that, actually, because it's just the same people, except in a different city. Anyway, we're now down to... This is the working girl. It's the color of the dress.
You know how to get to the Honghua, the hotel?
Ah, I see. Someone's looking for some action, huh? Quigan District. Just walk over there and go down the stairs. This rooftop connects to all the districts.
Thanks, buddy.
No problem.
Thanks in...
Fun.
Right. Thanks indeed. That is actually very helpful.
Looking for a good time in Hansa? I recommend you try the Hive nightclub. 2 for 1 drink night. Every night. It's on Jihu Street.
Thank you. First person who talks to... Well, first person who isn't American who talks to me in English, I think. We got cops. Cops? What do the cops say?
Good evening, sir. Enjoy the pleasures of Hengsha.
Cops also say... also speak in English. Okay. I am enjoying very pleasures. Absolutely. All my traveler pleasures. Unfortunately, there's nothing back here, but it is good to be here. Absolutely. Just browsing. You know how it is. I mean, you must know, because all the shops are abandoned. And we are not supposed to... That's what I was saying. Like, we're not supposed to read into those details. Into their abandoned. Into the fact that they're abandoned. It's just, you know, technical limitations. This guy's complaining that they're not eating fast enough or something. If I... Oh, excuse me. He doesn't complain about me going into his back room, but and stealing all his money. But it's fine. Again, the details that we're not supposed to look into. If I had a shop like this, well, maybe not in this case, because there's still a seat over there. But I would be always like pressuring my clients to not stay around, but trying to make sure that they're satisfied, because I want them to come back. I just want them to come back many times and not really stick around very often. I would be a terrible restaurant owner, or at least, you know, restaurant tender. Because it's like a bartender, except it's for the rest. I don't know if that works like that. We got a lot of Vio advertising, though. What are you looking for? Oh.
Guns? Hacking equipment?
What makes you think I'm looking for that kind of stuff?
Hey, I don't want to step on your toes. Just saying, if you need anything, there's a merchant at the Honghua Hotel who can help you.
All right, man. Noted.
Honghua Hotel. I will do... I'm sorry. I just... Oh, eavesdropping. That's another detail that you're not supposed to look into. How we can eavesdrop on anywhere. Somebody is missing over here. From 2027, which is today. Don't they have the Chinese calendar? I wonder how it works in China. In regards to... This is to the Yongzhou district again, or Yuzhou. I wonder how it works. I wonder if that, like, all the dates are like in the Chinese calendar, and they just use the... There's a name for it, for the, you know, the calendar that we use in the rest of the world. There's a name for it. It's like, because I know it's the common era and whatnot, but still. So, I am down here, but... Oh, this is the Yongzhou Hotel. Okay, well, it's not Yongzhou. It's the different thing. So that's good, because that is the thing that this guy was talking about. And it's also the area that we have access to from up here. Well, I say area, but it's the... No, is it actually? Because I want to go... Honghua. That's the one. I want to go... Yeah, it is it. It is that. to that area. Do you remember the door that we found last episode? That one right there. It is the Honghua. Okay. Let's see. Because I think the game is pointing us in this direction. It's just good to get the... Oh. Open it. Get the lay of the land before we get ourselves into trouble. Roof level. Yes, indeed.
Oh, no, don't tell me I left my purse in there with May.
Excuse me?
Hey, mister, you think you could go in there and pretend to be a customer? That might break up the fight.
Oh, this is more serious than I thought it was. She is also a working girl. You mean in here?
I told you, I am not getting augment. Not for this.
Our customers would pay much for the services of an augmented girl. You can make a lot of money.
Then tell customers to get themselves augmented, and they can go fuck themselves.
I'm sure some already have.
Yes.
May, look.
No, end of talking. It's too dangerous. I'm not changing myself for someone else's pleasure.
This isn't the end of the discussion. You'll get the surgery done if you want to keep working. Think about that.
Yeah, it isn't for the pleasure. It is for the money. Don't try to... Oh, yes, you must have heard that. Yeah, this isn't about the pleasure. It's about the money. He started off as saying that it's about the money. Hey, look who it is. The prick.
My apologies, sir. I was not aware May had a client waiting.
Yeah, I don't think I broke up the I'm sorry. I didn't break it up very much. Goodbye. Excuse me. Hi. I'll just go into your bathroom because you know how exploration is. Ooh. Oh. The implication. No, wait. It is the implication. It's not the implication either. It's just pure functionality here. I think she can step off the bath. Is this a window? Oh, it's not functionality. It's just so... Yeah, it is the implication. So you get a show when she's dressing. Or not dressing. Washing. Hi.
You're not a customer, are you?
What makes you say that?
The way you move, your attitude.
And what's my attitude?
Police. Or soldier. Someone on business. So why are you here?
I heard your argument. What was that all about?
They want me to get augmentations. For the customer's pleasure. It's sick. I quit before I ever let them touch me.
Sounded like they don't consider it an option.
They don't. I am lucky, I guess. I've been here the longest. It has advantages. But the new girls, they're not so lucky.
What do you mean?
They are forced to get augments. It's very bad. One of the girls who work here, Ning, she has been gone for days. I fear they took her and will force her to get augmented. You seem like a good man. I am desperate. Please, can you help? I can pay you.
You are desperate and also a bad judge of character. So, I like the implication here that it is dangerous, but it's not an implication. She's stating it outright. I wonder if it has to do with the conditions that the augmentations would be made in, because that's a consideration. But it is sort of weird how this is part of the reason why I say this game is very confused about its themes. So she's saying that they're being she's also very loud, I noticed. But anyway, I brought the volume down a little bit. So she's saying that they're being forced to install augments. But earlier in the game, you might remember that somebody, I think it was like a throwaway line from a pedestrian or something. Somebody said that they didn't like the idea of augments because people would be, it would basically force people without augments outside of the job market, which is a consideration to be had. It is weird, like that whole idea is weird because it's talking about augmentations as like their focus point is to improve beyond normal human capabilities rather than sort of make up for human limitations or human, even each person might need or whatever augments and things are for. But like if you don't have a leg or if you can't walk or maybe your eyesight is not good or all the stuff that, normal actual real life surgeries that exist and obviously some that don't exist. There's a lot of disabilities that can be cured, but augments would just fix all of that. It would be amazing. But there's also obviously the implication, or there's the consequence rather, that if augments can improve beyond normal human capabilities, the consequence would be that some people would, just be more hireable, based on whether they could lift heavy weights. And obviously, the game doesn't really. I think it's a shame that the game doesn't talk about disability and the implication that augmentations have on disability. There's a few throwaway lines, so I suppose it's all right. I feel it should be a little bit more present in the storyline, and I think an easy way to do that would be to use at least one of the characters that we deal with. Use them to push the let's heal people's malaises. And malaise, is that the word? Let's heal them. It's good. Augments are good because people don't need to be to be disabled, and that's not really pushed by the game. But the more interesting aspect of it, really, I think, is that while it is true that some people would be more hireable based on the augments that they have, and which is the discussion that we're having over here in this sort of situation, you will note that it's never really said, or actually it might have been a throwaway line where what I'm about to say, but it's never really said that the problem with that is that it means that poor people who can't afford augments get driven out of the job market, which just, grows the divide between the rich and the poor. A very cyberpunky theme, a very important theme in the cyberpunk setting for sure, or in any cyberpunk setting. But it's an obvious thing, and I think there's somebody that mentions it in a throwaway line, but that's not pushed by the game, which is really weird, because they have the Purity First could be all about that, the Purity First faction, as it were, but I think they're not. I think they're a mishmash of sort of like inspirations from real world organizations, the Purity First organization. So I'm not really sure why they don't push that, especially because the first person that we find from them is like a gangbanger sort of guy with obviously the implication. Or not the implication, but the connections to racial disparities would be an easy thing to draw on, to just say, poor people are going to be driven out of a job and they're just basically going to starve to death if they can't afford their augments. And the people who can afford their augments, they're just going to be the new low, or the ones, because it's always, when exploitation is rewarded by the system, it's always it's a race to the bottom. Unless, of course, somebody steps in and to prevent it from being a race to the bottom, or usually by raising the bottom, but there's other ways. Not in this setting, there aren't other ways. But the point is, here, and to draw it full circle, because I'm rambling, but I'm rambling with there's a reason why I'm talking about this. There's always a reason, but she says that she doesn't want an augment. And she says that she's lucky and all that. And she says that they are forced. But you'll note that they are forced not by market dynamics, which is how people would be driven out of a job for not having money to have augments. They're not driven by, they're not forced by market dynamics, which I personally don't know any sex worker who works at least works in a setting like this, in a not a setting, but rather in a dance club sort of like this. But I can imagine, I'm speaking out of turn here myself, but I can just, if you will allow my talking without knowledge, I can imagine that basically the market will force you to get some enhancements. What they call it? Augmentation. There's some augmentations is what I mean to say. In the real world. I'm talking in the real world because, it's not for the pleasure, it's for your money. And that's why it's like a systemic thing. It's the market. It's for your money. It's for the person who owns the club's money. It's for the club, obviously. So, just gonna, you're gonna be good to be good at your job. You need to invest in the assets that you have. And when I say good at your job, I mean to get money. That's how it works. But of course, people might have specialties and whatever. Again, I'm speaking out of turn. But she never says, I don't have any clients because I don't have a robo-pussy. Which is, I think, the implication here. Let's cut to the chase here. I think that's what we're talking about here. They want a robo-pussy. And she doesn't have one. She says she doesn't want one on no print. She hasn't explained it yet, but she might. We're going to talk about this. She might explain it, but she hasn't yet. Hopefully she will. But if she doesn't, then that's another instance where the game just leaves it up to you to decide why she doesn't want it, which I find is a missed opportunity. But I think it, more than being a missed opportunity, it reveals a confusion about the themes, because we have seen already that the Purity First are sometimes portrayed as bigots, which is the opposite. Not the opposite, obviously. It's not the game. The game is excuse me. The game is relatively internally consistent, which is good. But in terms of thematics, it's not. And so I don't know. We'll see. They're portrayed as bigots because the obviously the name and obviously the verbiage that goes on in their pamphlets and stuff like that. It has been a while since we dealt with them, so everything is not fresh in my mind. But we can ask about and we can ask details. That one has an ellipses, so I'll go with the ellipses. Oh, that's what that means. Good. Ooh, we can ask about Ning. No, let's go with they. Who are they?
You keep referring to them. Who are they?
The Honghua Hotel used to be independent. In the past, we had to deal with local police for protection. And because we ran a clean and safe business, they looked the other way. But then, things changed.
What happened?
Bell Tower become the police in Lower Hengsha, and they not care to help us. So, a drug lord came in with all his men and took control. Things has never been the same, and we cannot do anything about it.
Drug lord and a corporation.
Why do you think Ning has been kidnapped?
Before, we could always refuse augmentations. But more and more girls got them, and it brings more money. Now they force us to do it. They won't even hire pure breeds like me anymore, because they're not as popular.
Is Ning one of the pure breeds?
Yes. Oh, well, I hope she still is. They started pushing for her to get augments. She say no even when it gets violent. Now I fear they lose patience and will force the operation. Ning's not the first, and she won't be the last.
The question here is, why don't they just fire her? It's like... But anyway.
Isn't this a job for the police?
The police leave Lower Hengsha to Bell Tower. And Bell Tower not care what happens if criminal pay them money. They don't care about my friend or any of the other girls forced into the sex trade.
Okay. Forced into the sex trade, she said. I mean, there's definitely you can read into the setting by that, but that's similar to real life, where some throughout history and to this day, some jobs are basically done as a last resort situation, and usually it's a last resort for multiple reasons. And of course, when it comes to sex trade, the value that we as societies tend to put on personal intimacy obviously makes people unwilling to normally go into sex work for a normal job. Of course, that doesn't happen for everybody, and there's definitely sex workers that do it by choice, and they want to do it for multiple reasons, wherever they work and all that sort of stuff. Because of course there's different types of sex work. Well, maybe not in this setting, but in real life. But the thing is, of course, being forced into the sex trade might. What it definitely does say is that it's... No, I was going to say that it's illegal, but it isn't. It is definitely frowned upon, or you'd guess that it is frowned upon in this society. As in, like, for example, circus, the circus, or the sort of stereotype of the European medieval circus is a good example of a job that people are forced into because they're outcasts, and that happens for people with disabilities, but not just, but and it happens for criminals as well, and that's why you see a lot of sleight of hand in circuses historically. I'm talking historically, obviously, but there's some precedents and there's some correlations there that explain certain trends that you see throughout the medieval times in Europe, anyway, for circuses and for similar roving troops of people with assorted skills, and of course. Each case is a case, but we're just talking in general here. But of course, people are forced into certain jobs that are frowned upon by society, and it's sort of a vicious cycle because they're forced into those jobs because society doesn't accommodate for them, either because of economic conditions or because they're bigots or whatever. And then the jobs get associated with that sort of people, so then the jobs themselves get frowned upon by society. So that's a large part of why sex work is traditionally seen as a lower rung of work. But it also has to do with the illegality of it, and obviously the it's not illegal everywhere in the world, but the illegality of it also contributes to the exploitation of the workers, as well as the crime associated with what it is. So you can see that easily with anything that is prohibited, throughout history or right now. Anything that is prohibited by law, usually, and that people want, obviously. If it's prohibited by law but nobody cares about it, usually there's what's the word for it? When there's trade, there's illegal trade in it, and that it can be sex work, it can be drugs. And the associated crime comes in because people just don't have the same protections. People who work in those areas, they don't have the same protections for other kinds of associated crime, and that's why prohibition tends to raise crime rates. Not just because it literally criminalizes certain branches of commerce and certain branches of economic activities, but also because the crimes that would be normally associated, like if you go to a market, if you go to a theater, watch a movie, and somebody stabs you, and you can go to the police and say, hey, that person stabbed me, and the policeman goes and just, stab them back, whatever the police does. But if you're buying drugs, illegal drugs, and somebody stabs you, you won't be able to go to the police and say, unless, of course, it's decriminalized, which is how it works here in Portugal. The sale itself is criminal, of illegal drugs, but the purchase and the consumption or the usage is not illegal. That sort of measures are usually made for precisely to sort of diminish, to lower the associated crime rates that come in with prohibition. Of course, it doesn't address the root of the problem, but that's another issue altogether. Anyway, we're out of time for the day. This is an interesting conversation. Not the one that I'm having. Hopefully it is for you, but for me, I mean, I know my limitations. It's my rambling. But this is an interesting conversation with her, and we are still going to learn about the details, but next episode. For right now, I'm Colonel RPG, and this has been Deus Ex Human Revolution. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and leave a comment. Like the video if you want to see the next episode come out sooner rather than later. But above all, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.